Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of ClueCon Weekly. Just this week, joining us is Devang Nathwani, Head of the Department of the ASTPP project at iNetrix. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Luca. Thanks for having me.
So, would you like to start by giving a quick introduction about yourself?
Oh, sure. My name is Devang Nathwani. I have more than 10 years of experience in overall IT industry. Previously, I was a developer. Then some changes in my designation, some new team members I have came across, new technologies I have came across. And since more than 7 years, I have joined iNetrix and working with ASTPP itself. So in ASTPP, I have four different designations throughout this 7 years of experience, and almost touched every possible areas where I can get the experience and communication and knowledge from people like you and Signal Wire and ClueCon and like minded people and companies. So yeah, here I am.
Oh, well, welcome. So, ASTTP is sort of a known and unknown project in the open source world because it does a lot of things and it's pretty popular. But at the same time, sometimes people don't really know they're actually using it, while it is in many places around the world. So, could you give us an intro about what ASTTP does and how people can use it?
Actually, when you mention is known and unknown, that is actually exact. I can say
Yeah.
the norm where ASTVP fits. Yeah. That's why we are trying. We just communicated and visited a good expo over there at developers conference at ClueCon a few days back. So that's what we are trying to reach out to people, where we are trying to share where exactly fit ASTPP. So if we are talking about history of ASTPP, we have started more than we are in this field and working with ASTPP since more than 8 years now. So we have different versions throughout the time.
Mhm.
ASTPP, previously it was with asterisk. Now many years we are using FreeSWITCH in background, and also offering too many CCs, concurrent calls at the same times, increase CPS by applying machine learning as well as call routing facilities as well as different modules from FreeSWITCH and our custom modules as well. Uh, PBX, fakes over IP, that also we are trying to, we have included since 4 years now, and class 4 class 5 offering are also there. So yeah, we are trying where by getting to know what exactly the requirement from market, we are continuously researching the market and try to fit where what new features we are also offering our forum. The open source module is also we just launched ASTPP version 6.0. When we were visiting ClueCon at the same time, we have launched ASTPP community version 6.0. We are also having a forum where we try to get as many inputs, suggestions, new feature requests, and try to communicate with all the connected parties where we can get more out of the community, and we reach out to them for any help if we require, and wherever they need our help we try to do that. So that's what our plan, to keep adding new things, to keep sharing what we have gathered till now. And that's what our part, and the main part we try to here in this particular session we try to share is the cluster setup. We also offer
Mm.
in VoIP market, in VoIP solutions, many of the time the platform is single server. So what we try to do is, whether it is a data redundancy, whether it is in terms of load balancing, uh, that we try to offer through cluster setups.
Nice. So, what's the base feature list? First of all, is HTTP ASTPP based on FreeSWITCH, right? It's based on FreeSWITCH with other modules around it. Is that correct?
Sorry, without?
Does ASTTP use FreeSWITCH? Yeah, it does.
Yes,
I
that
think
is
so.
100% correct. Yes.
Yeah. And what kind of features does ASTPP offer? Like, what's the base list of features around the platform?
We class 4, class 5 soft switch provided PBX as an add-on, FOIP fax over IP as an add-on, fraud detection modules offered by ASTPP, as well as admin portal, reseller portal, customer portal, 3 different portal available. Then white labeling is also available. Invoice generation with white label data, that is available. So all these features, these are the basic feature uh, available, which we can say many of the users or admins will require of. There are few many others, but there might be scenario or use case specific feature, we can say.
And does it have different licensing versions? So can you if I want to use ASTTP, do I have options other than just downloading and using it?
Yes, there are mainly two we call it editions. One is open source edition, another one is enterprise edition. So few add-ons are different. We have edition comparison page available on astpp.net site, where a user or if a prospect can check out through whether the feature which are offered in open source they need bit different, then they can check for enterprise edition, where they can either use the add-ons by installing add-ons, or if they can use the core feature, that also they can use it.
Yeah, sounds like it. There's a lot there. So uh, so what's your typical customer? Who's using ASTTP the most? Like, what is the typical both customer, user and customer? I mean, it's open source, so you have both. But who uses ASTPP?
Yeah, it's a B2B product, so there might not be, or I can say not, there are no end users because they resell. If not, they are reselling through reseller under them, but they will resell to the direct customer under them. We have also n number of reseller possibilities available in ASTPP portal. So if admin has a reseller, or that reseller want to resell to their customer, that is also the possibility, as well as if admin has a direct customer selling, so that is also a possibility. To give you the answer about what exactly the uh, end user, what kind of user are using ASTPP, then class 4, class 5 soft switch, if you are using if you are using class 4, let's say some call center solutions, and you want billing and routing with them, if you have few 4 or 5 provider per country or different country you are offering, then for routing purposes, for billing purposes, that class 4 switch are using ASTPP behind. If you are using some fusion PBX, free PBX, 3CX, those kind of PBX in front, then you can use, before routing to the provider, ASTPP can sit in between. That is one use case. Other than that, ASTPP separately can handle the class 4 traffic, where with the cluster setup, if you can have, if you have SIP proxy SBC in front, and in behind, if you have multiple free switch server, we call it a media server, because we are using our business logic is in Lua, is in free switch. So business logic, by what I mean is our routing strategies, our account authentication part is happening via free switch, and all this logic is available in free switch. But SBC, we are using OpenShips as SBC, so OpenShips can
Okay.
work as load balance and authentication. So by using cluster, separate ASTP standalone can be a class 4 switch and can handle 5 to 10,000 CCs, and CPS also too many. So direct call center traffic, if you want to route through, that also possible. If you have a retail traffic, then also class 5 switch, because PBX features are provided. All the PBX feature, whether it is time condition, IVR, ring group, are provided by class 5 PBX, multi-tenant IP PBX add-on. So these are the main end user clientele use ASTPP. Other than that, if specific clientele or specific usage, if we call fax over IP, then also using the enterprise add-on, FOIP add-on, we call it FOIP, FOIP. That using that add-on, if the end user is having the requirement of such, then they are many customers are using
Oh, so
via that
you
also.
that's a I mean just a funny thing to ask, but do you have many customers using fax still? I guess the answer is yes.
Yes, yes,
Yeah, it is.
yes.
It is what it is. It's a bit weird, but I feel like people. I mean, just
Still, yeah, yeah.
there's a
It's
lot
not
of.
outdated, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's not updated for sure.
Yeah.
It's still out there. It is.
Yeah, in
It's
many of
very.
the, because we have presence in more than 70 countries. So whether it is South America, North America, Africa, Southeast Asia, so the countries where still are using fax, as well as the features, class 5 switch, cluster edition, so that are used pretty much.
Yeah, yeah, we have, I mean, we see a lot of fax traffic in the US still,
Uh-huh.
and oddly in Germany. Germany has a lot of faxing. Probably, stems from how they manage things. I don't even know, but it's
Banking, maybe banking affects the, because they
yeah,
need hard copy.
probably banking too. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a few modules I see in the ASTTP list that are interesting. We had a lot of discussions over the last few months in ClueCon Weekly about fraud detection. So, in
Mhm.
particular, how does fraud detection work in ASTTP, and how do you handle the various aspects of it?
Yeah, we have integrated fail to ban with GUI.
Hmm.
So if registration or if invite, whether if it is invite from incorrect username password after after sending 407 from server side, if the next invite contain next invite from caller side, USC side, if they are sending invite with again incorrect username password, then it will be banned based on the configuration done. If within X period of time, if Y number of wrong attempt is there, then the IP will be banned for Z period of time, and that will be shown in the GUI. So
Hmm.
by that way, user can, and same for IP based authentication. If
Okay.
if the caller IP is not whitelisted in ACL, then the IP will be banned and received X number of attempt within Y period of time. Then the IP, the server will not be able to, will restrict the traffic from that IP for Z period of time. So that's through GUI. We are
Hmm.
also in process to make that in bit extensive manner. So we are trying to improve it more, per caller ID base, per destination base. So that also we are working on.
That's very interesting. So you don't use anything using stir shaken and the various certificate based
No, no,
authentications.
yes,
Okay.
we
So
have
how
just simply,
oh, okay, yeah,
yeah,
very interesting. So how does stir shaken work in ASTPP?
yeah, through the library provided by signal wire,
Hmm.
we are authenticating the caller IP and the destination number. Then based on the response from the library, we are either all the three possible options, whether it is allowed, whether it is not allowed, whether it is banned. So all three options we are providing through signal wire provided library of steer second.
Hmm.
That's
Okay.
we have implemented in ASTP version 6.
Okay, so the latest version has it. Does the open source version support that too?
Not yet. No, we are going to implement it, but no, not yet.
It's coming. Okay, yeah. Well, I guess people will wait for it. So what else? I see there's a lot of APIs available, which is always interesting to me. I am an application developer, so I'm always interested in APIs, and I I mean, what kind of APIs are available, and what can you do with
Yeah.
them?
Yeah, more than 30 APIs we have provided just in ASTP community version 6. This is our first edition of open source where we are also providing the APIs. So the people, the mind like yours, so that they can try and explore and
Oh yeah, we're
what not do, what not. So that's why we have implemented. So a list of list of hows and what's is available. with our add-on. It's via add-ons. You can, if you install the add-on, you will have the you need to configure the token, and you will be able to, you are good to go to use whatever the APIs, and in the manner which the logic is accepting the request, then the response will the more than 30 APIs are available.
Nice. Yeah. That's always important to have extensibility so people can build their own modules, maybe a little GUI. You can do a lot of work with that. It's very important to
Correct.
have
That's to expand the ecosystem. That was the idea.
So there's one module in particular I'm very interested into, because when I was preparing for this meeting, I was curious about shadow billing, because I'm not 100% sure what it does, but it sounds like it's something extremely important, and I'm very curious about what it actually is.
It might not considered as important, but in some of the areas where where if admin wants to have some communication with customer, mutual understanding that based if admin and customer mutually decided, because of some scenarios where they want to charge 40 seconds as a minute. So
Okay.
if
Oh,
that is
wow.
the scenario,
Yeah.
so that is a shadow billing.
Oh, I see. So there is
If you consider, yeah,
it's a way to avoid getting overcharged for calls and other usage, right?
yes, it's on mutual understanding with
Okay.
customer and admin.
Well, that's always important.
Yeah.
Another thing I'm very curious about: how does the number portability module work? Are you
Uh-huh.
backed by a specific carrier? Is it just something you do? How does it work?
Yeah, there are two modules for number portability. We
Mm-hmm.
have one is for particularly South Africa,
Oh, I see.
where they have their telecom department has different scenarios that, and we have a strong clientele available in South Africa. So they upload every morning two CSV files on their central server, and if
Mm-hmm.
admin has the subscription with the government, then they'll be able to download those every morning, those CSV, and based on the data of those CSV, the system will communicate with the logic, and that's why based on the caller ID and destination number, the
Mm-hmm.
prefix will be added, so that the provider will route it to the new provider based on the prefix added, based on the data which system has got every morning from the FTP server. That's about South Africa. And
Mm-hmm.
for a whole other countries of world, we have other add-on, number portability add-on, where it is kind of help desk, where customer from their portal will be able to communicate with admin that they want to move particular DID or particular number from X provider to you. So, and you will ask them to upload this many documents. So if when they upload the document, then admin from the customer's behalf
Mm-hmm.
communicate with the existing provider
Carriers, of
that
course.
this customer wants to port the DID from you to another provider. So that's how it works.
Wow, that's really nice. I mean, it's a module that I think should be useful to many people. Why South Africa of all
Yeah.
places? Did you have a customer in South Africa that you work with? Just curious why South Africa?
Yeah, there are two modules. It's not limited to South Africa, but because we know that what exactly the way for South African country, how their rule works,
Mm-hmm.
and multiple customers are were in communication, which still are working with us. They shared their exact process with us. So we have very clear module available for particularly South Africa. So
Hmm.
they don't, their customer don't need to just pass them the request that I need to do this. They can do there from their side, and the direct data will be reflect from central server, a government central server, to the system. So that's why they both are different.
Yeah, I see. Cool. I see. There's some other interesting stuff. There's so much. There's a Mailchimp module. It's useful if you're doing some marketing and stuff. There's so much in here.
Yeah.
Let me see what else. International credit management. So yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you. It came up recently that people has asked me about doing calling cards and on FreeSWITCH, on which I didn't have an answer because, of course, FreeSWITCH is just the media component. So, of all things, can you just quickly explain how calling cards work in ASTPP? Because people who were talking to me recently might actually like hearing about that.
Yeah, no, sure. No, for calling card, we have different feature available, which is in core, which is also available in open source module as well.
Mm-hmm.
So where DID number or DDI number, I think in USA you call DDI number, that is also that will work as a calling card number. If somebody, okay, the main purpose of calling card is if you don't have USC, means if you don't have IP phone, if you don't have a SIP endpoint, in short, if you don't have
Yeah.
Zoiper, if you don't have any soft phone or hard phone or IP phone, then also from your GSM number, if you dial this number, which is publicly accessible,
Mm-hmm.
when this number will be dialed, then that number will reach to ASTPP via DID provider, and then ASTPP will play the IVR, which
Which asks you
admin
for
can
your
upload.
PIN.
Correct. And it can be pinless as well, based on the admins or customers configuration. If caller's ID is fixed and that caller ID is configured in customer portal, then whenever from this caller ID, if the call reach to system, then it can be pinless as well. So it will directly ask you to dial the destination number. So it will be GSM to SIP.
Okay, so that's super convenient. Yeah, I feel like, I mean,
Yes.
from some standpoint, we're mostly, application developers. We do a lot of complicated stuff, and sometimes I have to say myself first, we end up forgetting about the simple important use cases, right? So people, first of all, phones are used by people to call each other. Which sounds so, I mean, if you're always doing video, you're doing, figuring out routing rules and complicated SIP situations and
Yes.
WebRTC endpoints and whatnot, but people they're just wanting to call each other. So there is which is what it is.
Yeah, so that's the one aspect. But nowadays there are few many, if we consider marketing, then nowadays are too many use cases where a user can market their product through the platform like ASTPP, and their bottom line can be raised easily.
What's the does a ASTPP support WebRTC endpoints?
Yes.
Oh,
Even
nice.
open source edition,
Hmm.
configuring the, if you are having the WSS configured correctly with SIP profile, then yes.
So yeah, so it's via SIP, to SIP over
N-
WebRTC.
no, it's WSS, direct
Okay,
WSS.
okay, so cool, nice. And yeah, I mean, it's more and more common, right? There's a lot of people
Yeah,
doing WebRTC
yes,
these
yes,
days.
because through web browser, through SIP.js base, uh, or PJSIP base, any USC, whether it is mobile application, they would like to connect via WSS directly.
Cool. So, well, I think this just an incredible, incredible platform all around, and something we could go on for days. I mean, there's just looking at the list, there's just personalized rates, etc. So I think it's truly a very, very not even complex, a very complete platform. What about hosting? Do you offer hosting an HTTP enterprise instance for your customers, or does someone have to run it themselves?
Uh, yes, both options are available.
Hmm.
We can host for them, as well as many of our customer have their in-house, very many, probably more than 90% customer are having their in-house setup, whether it is cloud based or whether it is dedicated server.
Yeah, I'm sure that a lot of people really just run.
Yeah, and it offers, because with AWS, with Azure, with Google Cloud Platform, we have set it up ASTPP over there. So if we are talking about if CC or call redundancy, data redundancy will be required, then RDS also can be AWS. RDS also can be configured with. So it's not mandatory to have a database on server or on server instance.
Oh, so
It
there's
can be remote as well.
a lot of flexibility.
Yeah.
Well, Devang, thank you very much. I mean, there's a lot there, and I feel like it's a great platform. We've been following up with ASTTP for a long time now, and I think it's just a great project. So again, thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here, same here, Luca.
So Devang,
Good to have me. Good to have the discussion. Thanks for that.
So Devang Nathwani joining us today as the project director and head of department of ASTPP project, which is an open source class 4, class 5 router based on FreeSWITCH, available both in open source and enterprise editions at Inextrix Technologies. Thank you so much, Devang.
Thank you, Luca.
And for the rest of the people, I'll see you next week. Goodbye.